Hello, everybody. Welcome to Big Cat Sports. We got a Lions video today. Even though the season's over, doesn't mean we're not going to stop talking about them. We're just going to go look over the upcoming free agents going into free agency this offseason, see who maybe we want to try to re-sign, who's going to be gone, and go through all the people like that. So, big guys that we signed last year that are going to be gone. We know CJ's a free agent. I don't know if they're going to re-sign him. Mosley was also a 1 year deal. Other players coming off that were on the team and contributing somewhat: Josh Reynolds, Romeo Aquara, Julian Aquara, Graham Glasgow, Jonah Jackson, Craig Reynolds, Brock Wright, even though I believe he was re-signed recently. Donovan Peoples-Jones, who we got in trade, James Houston's a restricted free agent. We have a lot of guys who were doing stuff last year. They're about to be free agents.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to have a tight end combo of Zach Ertz and Laporta, but I don't think they can afford Ertz. I don't think they want to give him much money. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
He's not currently a free agent on the Lions thing, but I don't know if he was on the team long enough to even be put on here. We have about 61 or 62 million in cap space, if I remember from last time I saw it.
They got to re-sign an awful lot of people if that's their plan, and it sounds like initially Holmes is not interested in going after really, you know, high, high value, high uh, high value free agents and stuff.
Well, there isn't much hole, especially on the offensive side, from what you've had in past years to worry about. Like the only hole that is somewhat there is on the line. You have Graham Glasgow, who you had last year, who did well this year.
I think they'll re-sign Graham.
Who will probably re-sign. Frank Ragnow might be retiring.
That's true. And
so
if
you're
he doesn't retire, I think you realize that he's only good for maybe, if you're at best, probably around 10 games a year.
I mean, he's always under rest. I mean, I know if he stays, I think it's just because he thinks there is a good chance to actually win. Otherwise, he's retiring.
They're going to, as far as the draft goes, I think you're going to see them keep investing in that offensive line. They have to, because it's like, I think it's a foregone conclusion that Jared Goff is going to be our quarterback for the next, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
so you're going to have to keep him upright.
Now,
and you're going to have to give him the protection to allow him to be effective. And so they're going to be investing a lot of high draft picks in offensive linemen.
So there is questions throughout there because the only offensive lineman, well, there's 2 offensive linemen that are on here that were playing a good amount last year, and that is Vaitai, who they're not going to re-sign. He's gone. Vaitai is freeing up some space. Graham Glasgow's on there. And Matt Nelson's also on there, but he was out the whole year with an injury. So I don't know if they would sign him back. And Jonah Jackson. There's your 4 offensive linemen on that list.
I think Jonah Jackson, Glasgow for sure. I think they're going to re-sign.
I could see them passing on Jonah Jackson.
Wait to see. I hope Ragnow tells them fairly early, at least before the draft, if he's going to retire or not. This is, like I said, you don't get a lot of shots at the Super Bowl. We had a shot last year. We should have made it. And so we might take a step back this year. Who knows?
So other players that are kind of interesting is James Houston being a restricted free agent. Do you let him go after his ankle injury? Do you try to sign him to a 1-year deal? Do we move on?
I mean, it's up to you if they think he can be effective, but I would say no.
Because you have the chance in the draft or to go out in free agency and get somebody better.
Well, they were talking somebody. It's just one of these goofy rumor mill things. That Daniel Hunter might be a guy we signed, but what they were projecting was, 5 years, 130 million. It was like, oh wow, that's a lot.
I don't know if we're going to invest that much money in people outside of what we already have. I'm keeping, because that's how what Brad Holmes seems to talk about is just keeping the talent that we have is more important than bringing in outside talent.
They're going to need to do. It's hard. I mean, you're going to have weak areas. There's no way around it. But
Well,
you
and
can't be
that's
weak in the offensive line, and you cannot be weak. As far as the offense is why we win games. And the defensive scheme seems to keep us in. I was surprised to learn today that we were the second highest defensive team, second highest pressures in the league on the quarterback.
even though we never get to the quarterback, as my uncle would say.
Yeah, we don't.
Mhm.
I don't think we're very high in the sack part of it.
But you're applying a lot of pressure. Only problem is your secondary, and you are losing a lot of people in the secondary. You're losing Vildor, who didn't really do much. You're losing CJ, who was hurt most of the year. Will Harris is a free agent. Jalen Reeves-Maybin's a free agent. Julian Aquara, linebacker, free agent.
gone. I think most everybody you said is gone.
So that's what I say. You're going to have those holes to fill in.
I would
and
think.
And Khalil Dorsey, who's a restricted free agent, but it's a lot of people who were on the teams slightly adding to what we were doing. But there's probably going to be new draft picks. Jerry Jacobs is also one of them, and he'll probably also be gone.
He's kind of like, I don't expect him to be re-signed.
He is a restricted free agent again, so I don't know how it'll go about, but there's a lot that's going to end up filling up. You will probably have a whole new secondary besides, Branch and
Well, you're going to have
Sutton.
You're going to have Sutton.
But they probably should
You're
go
gonna
try
have
to find
Branch.
someone better than Sutton and have Sutton be your corner.
Visdall, but Sutton's on our team.
But better than Sutton and make Sutton the second cornerback, not the first
I think
one.
that could be possibility. They may draft somebody. I don't know.
Because Sutton should not be your number one quarterback.
Or, like I said, it just it depends on where they want to strengthen up. You could make your whole defensive backfield better by being able to put pressure on the ball, sacks and things like that. So maybe a Daniel Hunter is a viable option. Maybe we could ask. He would take up almost a third of what we have in our cap space, though.
Yeah,
close.
And you want to re-sign a lot of the guys that are coming up,
right?
Players, I think they will keep. I think they will keep Josh Reynolds. I think they'll re-sign him.
Yeah.
I think they could possibly re-sign Craig Reynolds, but I'm not 100% sure on
He's a good
that
third
one.
back. He's cheap.
I could see them re-signing Glasgow, Jalen Reeves-Maybin. Yep. I don't know about Jonah Jackson just because of the injury worry, and we did just draft Sorsdal on top of if you re-sign Graham.
Sorsdal has shown anything that makes you think he's a starter yet?
But if you sign Graham Glasgow, I would think
we're going to draft an offensive line.
I think they'll also draft another one higher than they did Sorsdal.
Yeah, I think so.
I think they'll do that this year too, because I just don't know if they want to put all the money into Jonah Jackson after the injury problems that he's been having. So I don't know. I could see them re-signing him, but I could also see us not re-signing him.
Right.
I could see it go either way.
I think if Ragnow retires before the draft, that we will take a offensive lineman in the first round.
I could see us keeping Brock Wright. I don't know about Shane Zylstra after his knee injury in training camp, if he's staying.
That we saw, yeah.
I don't know if he's staying because he's also a restricted free agent. Benito Jones. Don't know about him. He's also restricted. You probably are keeping most of your restricted free agents just because you have the rights to them and you can sign into a tiny contract.
Right.
But
Benito Jones is serviceable. I mean, you're not going to fix all these problems. That's what I said. I don't know where they're going to. Goff is when they're going to have to figure out how to sign him. I mean, we got another year, but they're gonna work out something. I think this summer with him.
Now you have your four guys. You have three guards that are free agents, which I already went over. So they're gonna have to figure out something around there. They have. I could get to everything else. On the offensive side of the ball, there's 11 free agents. That includes the 4. Teddy Bridgewater retired, so Hooker's your backup. You're not looking for any backup.
It's Hooker time.
We already went over there with Craig Reynolds. We already went over Donovan Peoples-Jones. Will they keep him? Will they not? the question with that one.
No, I mean, there's no real point to keeping him unless they think he's better than someone we got. Who knows?
So
He was good when we threw to him. He didn't have a lot of targets.
our defensive line holes. There's only 3 free agents, and we kind of went over all of them. You have Uquara, Charles Harris, and Benito Jones.
Mhm.
So, like I said, I think Uquara is going to be gone. I think both Uquara brothers will be gone.
Yes, back to the trash.
And then you have Charles Harris as another one that I don't know if they're going to keep. I think there is going to be some rotation on the end part. Well, I already went over the defensive end. On the edge, we kind of already went over that. James Houston and Jalen Reeves-Maben are the two that could add to that. Again, I see him re-signing Maben. Hello, dog. Linebacker-wise, which also includes Aquara, and Julian Aquara gone. Anthony Pittman, restricted free agent, probably staying because he's a restricted free agent. Secondary-wise, this is where our problems were last year. We have 6, which we already went over. CJ, Manuel Mosley, both gone. Will Harris gone. Vilder gone. Khalil Dorsey, probably back because he's restricted, along with Jerry Jacobs because he's restricted. But I don't really know about the last.
No, I mean, I said they got a lot. I trust Brad Holmes. They were at a lot of people saying, should we go out there and get these big names? And he was basically saying they're not going to go and get big names. And so, you got to put. So far, it's been a great, ride, and you got to stay with him, and hopefully he knows what he does. And he may take a step back this year. We may have to, adjust a little bit. That we had a shot. That's what makes it so frustrating is that we had a chance, a better than average chance.
Yes,
to be in the Super Bowl.
And you should have won. You were 30 minutes away.
And
30 minutes away, and you couldn't do it.
You can't. They don't. There's no guarantee it'll come back, but there's no guarantee that it won't. So
it will be an interesting year next year, especially depending on what they do. And we'll throw out our way too early predictions once the season is actually over with the Super Bowl done and all that, with what the schedule looks like, with what we think next year will look like. But we'll get more into that later on. With all that being said, though, if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, share the video around. Until next time, hope to see everybody soon.